Have you ever noticed what happens when you stop talking to a woman you once gave all your attention to? At first, you might expect silence, maybe even relief. But then something shifts. She starts watching your stories again. You get random texts like, "Hey, how have you been?" Or suddenly she remembers to check on you. Confusing, right? You were the one trying to connect. You gave your energy, your time, your presence. And when you finally pulled back, that's when she started to notice. This is one of the most misunderstood dynamics between men and women. Because most men think that attention equals connection. But female psychology doesn't work that way. You see, when you stop talking to her, she doesn't just notice your absence, she feels it. And what she feels isn't rejection. It's the sudden void where validation used to be. This moment reveals something powerful, not about her but about you. Because how you respond to that silence, what you do when she finally starts pulling back or testing, you determines whether you're acting from neediness or grounded strength. Every man faces this point eventually, the quiet after pursuit, and most men fail it. They overthink, they chase, they break their own boundaries to win back attention that was never lost, just tested. But if you can understand what's really happening under the surface, you'll never be manipulated by mixed signals again. You'll respond like a man of calm presence, not emotional panic. Because when you stop chasing, the truth finally reveals itself. Mark had always believed that effort was everything. If you liked someone, you showed it. You texted first, made plans, and kept the conversation alive. That's how connection was built. Or at least, that's what he thought. He met Emily at a friend's gathering. She was warm, charming, and sharp-witted. They hit it off instantly. For the first few weeks, things were light and fun. She laughed at his jokes, replied quickly, even hinted at future plans. But slowly, things began to change. Her responses got shorter. Texts that once came within minutes now took hours, sometimes days. Mark felt it happening but didn't want to admit it, so he tried harder. He sent thoughtful messages. He invited her out again. He even pretended not to notice her distance, hoping that staying cool would bring her closer. But the truth was, he was anxious. He was losing her. Finally, one evening, after his third unanswered text, Mark stopped. Not out of strategy, but exhaustion. He told himself, if she's interested, she'll reach out. And for the first time, he went silent. Days passed. Then a week, at first, nothing. Then her name lit up his screen. Hey. Haven't heard from you. Everything okay? Mark felt that familiar rush, the validation he'd been craving. But something inside him shifted. Instead of rushing to reply, he waited. He realized that her message wasn't about genuine curiosity. It was about checking whether she still had his attention. For the first time, he saw the pattern. When he pursued, she withdrew. When he stepped back, she leaned in, and that's when it hit him. It wasn't about attraction anymore. It was about leverage. She had grown accustomed to his attention. It fed her sense of value. But when that attention disappeared, she started to question herself. Mark was torn. Part of him wanted to answer right away, to feel connected again. But another part, the stronger, wiser part, knew this was a turning point. He could go back to chasing, or he could learn why her behavior changed and what it truly meant. So where did Mark go wrong? When Mark went silent, he didn't expect her to notice. But the moment he stopped chasing, everything shifted. Not just with her, but within him. Let's unpack what really happened here. When a man constantly initiates contact, plans dates, and keeps the connection alive, it sends a very specific message, especially to a woman. It tells her you need her more than she needs you, and that imbalance quietly erodes respect and attraction. You see, women don't lose interest because you're kind or communicative. They lose interest when your energy starts to feel predictable, when there's no tension, no polarity, no mystery left. Mark's mistake wasn't that he cared too much. It's that he invested without awareness. He was emotionally outsourcing his validation to her reactions. When she replied quickly, he felt confident. When she didn't, he he felt lost. That's not attraction. That's dependency, and women can feel it instantly. So when Mark finally pulled back, not as a manipulation tactic, but because he was tired of chasing approval, something powerful happened. He created emotional distance, and in that space, she started to feel what he had been feeling all along: uncertainty. Here's the psychological truth. When you stop talking to a woman who once enjoyed your attention, her mind doesn't go quiet. It starts working overtime. She begins to wonder, did I do something wrong? Is he losing interest? Why hasn't he reached out? Her ego, which once fed on your consistent energy, now feels hungry. And that hunger triggers curiosity. And often, a return of attraction. But this isn't about winning her back, because true strength isn't in making her chase, it's in becoming unaffected by whether she does or not. That's where stoicism enters the picture. Stoicism teaches that your emotions are your responsibility, not hers, not anyone else's. When you detach from the need for her reaction, you regain control of your mind. A stoic man doesn't go silent to punish or manipulate. He goes silent to recenter himself. He recognizes that her attention, her affection, her approval, these are bonuses, not necessities. Mark began to see this clearly. He realized that his worth wasn't measured by whether she texted him back. It was measured by how grounded he remained when she didn't. And as soon as he stopped reacting emotionally, everything changed. He no longer needed to play games. He no longer felt desperate for connection. He was at peace. Ironically, that's when she started coming back harder, liking his old photos, replying to stories, dropping subtle hints like, "Hey, miss our talks." But here's the twist. This time, Mark didn't rush to engage. He observed. He responded calmly, not urgently. He gave her attention, but not his center, because he finally understood the deeper lesson. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. If you tolerate inconsistency, you'll keep getting it. If you chase indifference, you'll become invisible. But if you step back, focus on your peace, and refuse to chase validation, you become magnetic. This isn't about ignoring women or playing hard to get. It's about alignment. When your actions come from self-respect rather than insecurity, your energy shifts. You move from needing love to attracting it. Mark's turning point wasn't when she texted him back. It was when he realized that he didn't need her to, and that's the point every man must reach. But even with this awareness, many men still fall into traps that destroy their progress, often without realizing it. Now that you understand why pulling back changes everything, let's talk about the traps that most men fall into right after doing it. Because here's the truth. Going silent isn't enough. What matters is who you become during that silence. Mistake number 1, using silence as a manipulation tactic. Too many men go quiet thinking it will make her chase. They're still playing from insecurity just in disguise. When you stop talking just to get a reaction, you're still handing her emotional control. And women can feel that. They sense when your calm is fake, when your silence is loud with expectation, real. Power comes when your peace doesn't depend on her response. You're silent because you're centered, not because you're scheming. Mistake number 2, breaking silence too soon. This is where most men lose the frame, that this moment she sends a small text or reacts to a story, they rush back in thinking, she's interested again. But attraction doesn't rebuild in one message. She's testing your stability, your ability to remain grounded when she reappears. If you fold too fast, you confirm her suspicion that your emotions are still dependent on hers, so stay composed. Respond with warmth, not urgency. Mistake 3, using no contact as punishment. A stoic man doesn't play games. He doesn't ignore to make her feel bad or teach her a lesson. He simply focuses on his own direction. Lines is not a weapon. It's a boundary. Remember, if your motivation is control, you'll lose respect. If your motivation is growth, you'll gain peace. Don't be the guy who tries to make her feel your absence. Be the man who builds a life so fulfilling that your absence simply speaks for itself. So, let's bring it all together. When you stop talking to her, it's not about punishment. It's about presence. It's about showing, not telling, that your world doesn't revolve around someone else's approval. Remember Alex's story? When he stopped chasing, something shifted. He wasn't reacting to her anymore. He was responding to himself, his goals, his values, his direction. And that's what truly changed how she saw him. Because here's the paradox of attraction. The moment you stop needing her energy to feel complete, that's when she starts to notice your strength. It's not the silence that draws her back. It's the self-respect behind it. So if you're watching this and you're in that quiet stage, maybe she's distant. Maybe she's pulling away. Don't rush. Don't panic. Don't beg for attention. Focus on becoming the man who doesn't chase validation, because he already embodies it. Now here's your challenge. For the next 30 days, stop trying to prove your worth to anyone. Every time you feel the urge to reach out for reassurance, do something that builds you instead. Work out, read, learn, create. Channel your energy inward, not outward. And when you do that, you'll notice something powerful. You won't just change how women respond to you, you'll change how you see yourself.